Hi everyone, in this video I'd like to introduce how to send this test result to the student where they have this email addresses. This is a Google spreadsheet. If you have your own spreadsheet, you can easily copy and paste and do this thing in the Google Drive and Google Mail. This is my Google email account. If you look at this app part, and you can find Google Drive. In this version here, you have this Google Drive icon. If you click on that Google Drive, you will have your Google Drive space, and in the Create, and you will find Spreadsheet. If you click on that Spreadsheet, and you will have Spreadsheet tab. So this is the spreadsheet I showed you earlier, and this will be untitled if you open it for the first time. So you can click on that and change the name of that spreadsheet. Now you have to upload a script, JavaScript. So the JavaScript will go through each of the row and read this email address and send this data to this email address. The way to upload the JavaScript is this Tools. If you click on that Tools, you will find this Script Editor. If you click on that script editor, you will have blank space and with untitled. Again, you can click on that and change the name. And when you save this one with this save button, I think it is saved together with the spreadsheet you showed I showed earlier. So I think it's the same file. It's just the script that attached to that spreadsheet. Now below this YouTube video, you will find in that description area, you will find a web link which has this script in it, and you can copy and paste that script in here. Name of that function is the send email simple. So once you copy and paste that short script in here in that space, and if you hit save button and find this area here, and if you click on that, you will find that name send email simple will show up here. Right now I have other functions that are written below this area, so it loads everything. But if you have just copied and pasted that short script from my website, then you will have only one command show up, and this is enough to process the simple data here, email address and one data. Now after you click on that, you will have this name showed up here, and this play button will run this script, and by doing that it'll send those emails. If you do this for the first time, and when you click on that button, it's going to ask for authorization of using your email account, and if you authorize those things, and it'll send emails to those people with this data. When you're actually doing this with your data, you will have different number of rows. Maybe you have a slightly different arrangement of these columns. So I'm going to explain how to change these numbers, just the 4 numbers you have to change to send these to students. So this is the script. This first one is a start row and the number of rows. Here, first row is just the title, so we're going to start processing the data from the second row. That's what this number is for, second row. Number of rows here is the number of students. I have 6 students. First row was just the title, that's why it has 7, and this is myself. So that's what this is for. And when this one reads the spreadsheet, you have to also specify which columns you're going to read. So here is column 1 through column 4. So column 1 is here. I'm reading the first name and last name and email address and the test result, everything. But if you just want to read just these 2, and you will set it to column 3 to column 4. So that's what that's for. And let me also explain what's down there. What you need to pay attention is these 3 rows here. Subject, these 2 messages. Actually 1 message with the 2 lines. The subject is the subject of your email. For example, this I'm teaching differential equations, so that will be your grades in differential equation. So that'll show up in the subject line of your email messages. And this message doesn't have to be the 2 lines, but I'm reading first name of each student. Here is the first name of each student. So that show up in here, and the message will be adding to this message. So we're adding to this message earlier, defined earlier, and then in recent test you made this grade out of whatever the maximum possible grade is. So let me explain about this number 0 and 3. Once it reads this one line at a time, that script will read one line at a time. It'll recognize this an array. For some reason, they label this first column of one line data, they label it with a 0th. This is 0th item in that row, row 2, and this is the first item in the row 2, and this is a third item in the row 2. This is a fourth item in row 2. Third item, I'm sorry. 0th, first, and second, and third. So the first item here, row 0 here appeared in this part, that's the name. So that's why I'm inserting that part. And next thing you need is this data, the test results. So the 0, 1, 2, 3. So the row bracket 3 will be this data here. So that's why you see row bracket 3 in here. And this symbol \n means it's changing the line. So in the email, you will see Dear John and change the line. In the recent test, you made this grade out of that. And that message will be added in here and sent it to this email address with that subject line. If your data is more complicated than this, then you have to add your own JavaScript below to handle more complicated data into the form that you want when you send an email. But they're all JavaScript, and there are many websites out there that allows you to learn this simple JavaScript command as quickly as possible. But when you're sending just one test result to the students, which is often what you do, and this simple script is sufficient for that task. Thanks. I forgot to ask one comment here, so I'm going to continue. It's about testing this by sending it to your own account. So I included my name, myself in here, and my email account. By changing the number of rows that you want to play with to 1, you'll be sending, or you can duplicate many times your own name and address, and you can send it to yourself. By doing that, you will receive those messages in your account, and by looking at those messages, you can see how this one looks like from the student ends. But when I did that, those messages and sent it to myself, it did not show up in an inbox. It actually showed up in the sent mail. If you go there, you can see it was successfully sent through your account. When you click on those messages sent out, and you can see how they appeared in the messages. So that's one thing that I had to figure it out. Other than that, it worked pretty smoothly. I actually sent out to my students, and students received and replied, writing that everything went okay. So I hope this one works for you too. Thanks.